Hi, I'm Nolan, 35, and 3 years ago, my entire life disintegrated in less than a week, because my 13-year-old niece lied. I still remember the smell of the barbecue that day. Sweet smoke, sizzling meat, kids laughing in the background, the soundtrack to a normal suburban afternoon. I showed up late, straight from work, in a button-down and slacks, expecting burgers and small talk. Instead, I got accused of the most vile thing imaginable. "Did you touch Melissa?" That's what my sister Sarah asked me, no hello, no warning, just full-on accusation. Her eyes full of tears and rage, her voice shaking. I didn't even understand what she meant at first. I stood there frozen while the world went silent except for my own pulse thudding in my ears. When she spelled it out, when she said Melissa told her I'd assaulted her, I swear, the earth tilted under my feet. I tried to speak. "Sarah, I would never." That's as far as I got before she slapped me across the face in front of the entire family. She called the cops. Right there, with the potato salad still on the table. Within minutes, I was the pariah. My parents couldn't look at me. My aunt moved her kids behind her like I was radioactive. I walked out of that backyard party and straight into a nightmare that lasted over a year. The police came to my apartment that night. No arrest, just, "Come down to the station." I did, voluntarily. I wasn't hiding anything. I had an alibi. I was at a work dinner the night Melissa said it happened. A dozen people could back me up, not to mention a paper trail a mile long. But it didn't matter. For weeks I lived like a ghost. Job on hold. Friends ghosting me. My then girlfriend, texted me. "I can't do this. I'm sorry." That was it. No call. Just silence. Even the neighbors started avoiding me. My landlord said other tenants were uncomfortable. My own boss put me on administrative leave, because optics. Optics. The word that destroyed my career, my relationships, my peace. The worst part? My parents. Not once, did they ask me if it was true. All they sent was a message that said, "We're praying for the truth to come out." Not, "We believe in you." Not, "We're with you." Just prayers. And silence. Melissa's story didn't hold up. Her timeline was a disaster. She changed details in every interview. I had receipts, witnesses, GPS data, everything. The police never charged me. 4 months later, the case was officially closed. But the damage was done. People still looked at me like I might have done it. My name floated around Facebook like a warning sign. Every time I walked into a store or gym or bar, I saw the whispers. The stares. The accusations stuck even when the facts didn't. 6 months after the case was closed, Sarah called me in tears. Melissa had confessed. It was all a lie. Peer pressure, a tantrum, revenge because I'd scolded her once at a family dinner. Sarah sobbed through the whole call. Said she was sorry. Said she was ashamed. I said nothing. I felt nothing. Not relief. Not anger. Just this deep, frozen numbness in my chest. Like someone had cut out the part of me that used to care and left a vacuum behind. That was the day I knew there was no going back. A week after Sarah's call, my parents sent a box to my new apartment. Inside? A tin of homemade cookies, a family photo from 2003, and a handwritten note from my mom that said, "We miss you. Come home for Sunday dinner." That's it. No acknowledgement of what happened. No apology for vanishing during the worst year of my life. Just cookies. Like I'd skinned my knee and needed a treat, not been falsely accused of a life-ruining crime by their golden granddaughter. I threw the cookies away. That sounds harsh, maybe. But let me explain something. When your world burns down, you remember who walked away and who grabbed a bucket. My family didn't just walk, they locked the door behind them. It wasn't just them either. Old friends, coworkers, even the barista I used to joke with every morning, they all peeled away. And when the truth came out, none of them came rushing back. You know what most people said? "Well, it's good to know. But we just didn't know what to think at the time." That sentence haunts me more than the accusation. We just didn't know what to think. How about, "He's never given us a reason to believe he could do something like that"? How about, "Maybe we should wait for the investigation before crucifying him"? But no. Melissa said it. That was enough. Even now, years later, I hear people say, believe victims. And yeah, okay. Absolutely. But maybe believe in facts too. Believe in due process. Believe in innocence until someone proves otherwise. Because once an accusation like that leaves someone's lips, there is no rewind button. The system worked. I wasn't charged. The police believed me. But the people, my people, didn't. I moved to a different part of the city. New job, lower pay, smaller office. My new boss had gone through something similar, not SA but a different kind of character assassination. He saw me. Understood. Gave me a shot when no one else would. I worked like hell to prove him right. Slowly I rebuilt. Therapy helped. I started seeing a guy named Mark, former military, no-nonsense type. He told me early on, you can either bleed to death from what happened or build scar tissue. Either way, it leaves a mark. Your call which kind. I chose the scar tissue. I learned how to go grocery shopping again without scanning for glares. I learned how to talk to women again without second-guessing every word. I learned how to stop rehearsing explanations in my head like I was on trial every day of my life. And I made a rule, no one comes back from that kind of betrayal. Not Sarah. Not my parents. Not Melissa. They showed me who they were when it mattered. That version of me who trusted them? He's gone. Buried under police interviews, job rejection letters, panic attacks in the cereal aisle. A year after the confession, I started dating someone new, Dana. She's nothing like Sarah. Quiet, direct, emotionally fluent in ways I didn't know existed. I told her early on. There's something you should know about me. My family? It's complicated. She nodded and said, when you're ready, I'll listen. Until then, I'll trust who I see in front of me. I fell a little in love right then. We just moved in together. I built us a bookshelf last weekend and didn't cry once while doing it. That's growth. Then Melissa turned 16. And Sarah tried again. The text came on a random Wednesday morning while I was brushing my teeth. Unknown number. Hi. It's Sarah. Please read this. She attached a picture of a letter, Melissa's handwriting. Or maybe her therapist's ghostwriting. It started with, Dear Uncle Nolan, and ended with, Please, just one meeting. I want to say it to your face. I stood there with my toothbrush dangling, foam in my mouth, staring at the screen like it was radioactive. Because in a way, it was. That message wasn't a letter. It was a grenade. 5 minutes later, Sarah called. I shouldn't have answered. But I was tired that morning. Vulnerable. Maybe part of me wanted to believe things could still be fixed. She launched in like she'd been rehearsing for weeks. Melissa was in therapy. She was making progress. But she had nightmares. Panic attacks. Guilt eating her alive. Couldn't I just meet with her? Not for reconciliation, just for closure. I asked her flatly. Do you remember the last time you saw me? Silence. You slapped me in the face. In front of the family. Called me a monster. Called the police before asking a single question. And now you want me to play therapist for the girl who nuked my life? She's just a kid, Nolan. She was 13. Old enough to know better. She's sorry. Too bad. I'm not. Sarah started crying, said I was being cruel. Said forgiveness was healing. Said Melissa needed me to move forward. And I lost it. No. What she needs is to sit with what she did. What you need is to stop using my peace as a punching bag for your guilt. I hung up. The letter came by mail 2 days later, no return address, just the neat loops of Melissa's writing on the envelope. I didn't even open it. Just stood at the mailbox turning it over in my hands like it was radioactive. That same cold vacuum opened in my chest, the one that took over when the cops showed up at my door, when the HR lady gave me that. It's not about guilt, it's about optics. Speech, when I sold my couch on Craigslist to cover rent. I walked upstairs and fed it to the shredder. Not out of anger. Not revenge. Just self-preservation. It wasn't an apology. It was a trapdoor, a shortcut for her to feel better without doing the real work. I'm not a checkpoint in her healing arc. I'm a person she buried and now wants to resurrect when it's convenient. 3 weeks later, my mom called from another unknown number. I picked up, because sometimes curiosity outweighs caution. "Melissa's trying," she said. "She's in therapy twice a week. She cries all the time. She's not the same." I said. "Neither am I." She said. "Don't punish a child for a mistake." I said. "She made a choice. You all did. Now I'm making mine." That was the end of that call. But not the end of their attempts. Because what came next wasn't guilt. It was strategy. They tried everything. Emails from my dad with subject lines like, "Family is forever." Voicemails from Sarah that started off calm and ended in shouting. Even a surprise visit to my office by my aunt, who hadn't said a word to me in over 2 years, now suddenly she just happened to be in the neighborhood. It was like my entire former family had enrolled in some grief marketing course. All the buzzwords: healing, closure, family, forgiveness. Every message came with a smiley face or a guilt trip. But my favorite attempt? A group text I never asked to be added to, titled, "Restoring the Bonds." It had Sarah, my parents, 2 cousins, and even Melissa's therapist, allegedly. It started with, "We know healing takes time, but we're here when you're ready." And then they started scheduling things. Family Zooms. Group dinners. Mediation sessions. One-on-one coffee invites. They created an entire event calendar around me like I was an open wound they could RSVP to. I replied once, a single message. "Please remove me from this group. I didn't sign up for a redemption arc, good luck." Left the chat. Blocked the numbers. But one thing about narcissistic guilt? It doesn't go down easy. Especially when it's shared by a whole family network that thinks they're the heroes of the story. That fall, my mom sent a care package, again, this time with cookies, a scarf she knitted, and a tiny photo album labeled, "Just Memories." Inside, my 5th grade graduation. Me holding baby Melissa at the hospital. A picture from my college apartment, Sarah in the background beaming. A caption under one photo. "Don't forget who we were." I didn't. That was the problem. I remembered every moment. And then I remembered how fast they burned it all down. So I mailed the album back with a sticky note inside. "I do remember. I just don't forgive." Sarah showed up at my apartment a week later. Dana wasn't home. It was raining. I opened the door an inch, chain still latched. Sarah stood there in a poncho, soaked and shaking. No umbrella. Hair plastered to her face. "Nolan," she said, "I know I don't deserve anything. But Melissa's not okay. Please." She held up a folded piece of paper. She wrote something else. "Just read it." I stared at it. Then at her. And then I said, "Leave it under the door." She hesitated, then slid it through the gap. I watched her walk away without another word. I picked it up. Didn't open it. Dropped it into the recycling bin on my way back to the kitchen and made myself a grilled cheese sandwich like it was any other day. Because it was. That was the day I stopped feeling guilty for surviving. They stopped reaching out after that. For a while. It was quiet. Peaceful. I started to believe maybe, just maybe, they'd finally gotten the message. That I wasn't some disgraced prodigal son waiting for a redemption arc. That I had moved on. Dana and I went on a trip to Colorado. First vacation in years. No family drama, no strange looks, no. "How are you holding up?" Whispers. Just mountains, air that tasted clean, and us laughing like teenagers in a cabin with no cell service. I started sleeping better. I stopped checking my rearview mirror in parking lots. I actually forgot Melissa's birthday. Then December hit, and like clockwork, so did the next round of guilt. It came in the form of an envelope. No return address again, but this time it was thicker, and not in Melissa's handwriting. It was a packet. Inside, a typed letter from Sarah, a therapist's note, legit, signed, and a printed timeline of Melissa's growth journey. Therapy sessions. Diagnoses. Emotional progress milestones. Quotes from her journal. And then, stapled at the back, the kicker, a list titled, "Ways Melissa has been punished too. Lost friends. Bullied online. Ongoing nightmares. Panic attacks. Suicide ideation. Self-harm attempt. guilt, shame, isolation. There was a handwritten postscript. She lives with what she did every day, Nolan. Doesn't that count for something? I sat there at my kitchen table, snow falling outside, reading this therapeutic sales pitch like it was a resume for redemption. Does it count for something? Sure. But not what they wanted. It told me Melissa was hurting. Good. I hope it meant she understood the weight of what she'd done. But here's what it didn't do. It didn't give me my job back. Didn't restore my reputation. Didn't erase the months I spent afraid to be in a room alone with anyone, just in case they got the wrong idea. It didn't call back my girlfriend who ghosted me. Didn't unburn the bridges that went up in smoke when everyone decided my name was synonymous with predator. I put the packet in a drawer. Didn't shred it. Didn't respond either. Dana asked me that night why I was quiet. I told her the truth. Sarah sent another letter. She didn't ask for details. Just reached over, touched my arm, and said, "You don't owe them anything." And that's when it clicked. I don't. Forgiveness isn't some vending machine you shake until the snack falls. It's earned, and they never even tried. They just kept trying to feel better about what they did. And that wasn't my job. So I didn't reply. I bought tickets to a concert instead. Dana's favorite band. We danced like no one was watching. They probably think I'm cruel now. But that's fine. Because what came next? That wasn't about forgiveness anymore. That was about control. It started with a Christmas card. A real one, glossy, glitter-trimmed, with fake snow on the envelope. Inside was a photo of Melissa smiling stiffly next to Sarah and my parents. At the bottom, "Wishing you warmth, love, and forgiveness this season. We saved you a seat." Saved me a seat? Like this was a Charlie Brown Christmas, and I was just running a little late to the reunion. The next week, my building's front desk called to tell me someone had dropped off a gift basket from a family member. I told them to throw it out. They said it had perishables. I said even better. Then came the real kicker. My mom wrote a letter to my boss. No, not a Christmas card, a full-blown plea for compassion. She wanted him to know how much I'd suffered, how proud they were of me for getting back on my feet, and how much it would mean for the family to reunite after a time of healing. She wrote, "We understand Nolan's had to create boundaries, but with time and faith, we hope he'll come back to us. Please support him during this difficult journey." My boss, bless him, walked straight into my office with the letter in hand. Nolan, not sure what this is, but it felt intrusive. I read it, wordlessly handed it back, and said, "You're not wrong." That night, I emailed my parents. Subject, no more. I don't want gift baskets. I don't want saved seats. I don't want heartwarming metaphors or unsolicited letters to my employer. You chose your side the moment Sarah made that call at the barbecue. Melissa lied. You believed her without question. That is the kind of damage that doesn't get undone with sugar cookies and forgiveness slogans. Stop contacting me. You want closure? Here it is. I'm not coming back. Nolan. They didn't respond. Sarah, however, did. She called me 3 days later and left a voicemail that was equal parts desperate and manipulative. I get it. You're mad. But you're punishing all of us for something a kid did. Melissa has changed. We've changed. Don't you think it's time to stop being bitter and start being a man about it? Start being a man? I nearly laughed out loud. Because I had been a man. When they all bailed, I stood up. When I lost everything, I built again. When their guilt turned into a guilt trip, I took the hit and walked away, again. I didn't respond to her voicemail. Instead, Dana and I spent that weekend repainting our guest room. I was thinking office/future nursery. She didn't say it, but I saw the way her face lit up when I picked out the color. We were building something real. Quiet. Steady. Safe. And every time my past came knocking, I just added another deadbolt. Melissa turned 19 in March. I only knew because Sarah tagged me in a Facebook post, like we hadn't spoken in years, like she forgot I'd blocked her a dozen times already. The post read, "So proud of this strong, beautiful young woman. Therapy, growth, accountability. You've come so far, sweetie. Some people may never forgive you, but I know your heart." There was a photo of Melissa standing on a college campus. Smiling. Confident. Like she didn't almost wreck someone's life before her learner's permit expired. The comments were predictable. Proud of you, girl. Everyone makes mistakes. Growth matters more. Hope your uncle wakes up one day. I didn't respond. But it simmered. Because here's the thing, Melissa wasn't some villain twirling a mustache. She was a kid who made a sick choice, yes, but the adults in her life handed her the matches and pointed at me. She didn't ruin me alone. They all helped. With silence. With fear. With optics. And now they wanted me to play healing backdrop for her self-improvement montage? Nope. Dana and I had plans that weekend. A weekend getaway. Tiny cabin, no Wi-Fi, just a fireplace and her favorite bottle of wine. We hiked. We read. We talked about what it would look like to start a family someday. She said, "I think you'd be a great dad." I told her I used to think I would be too. Then I remembered how Sarah looked at me that day at the barbecue. Like she knew I was guilty. Like everything we'd been through as siblings evaporated in one sentence from her daughter's mouth. And suddenly I was back there, in that moment, standing in the kitchen with everyone staring, like I was something they didn't recognize anymore. A contaminant. A threat. Dana noticed the look on my face. "You're back there again, huh?" I nodded. She pulled me in, held my head against her shoulder, and whispered, "They don't get to live rent-free anymore." That night, I finally did something I'd put off for years. I deleted every photo. Every email. Every backup file of that time in my life. Police documents? Gone. Screenshots? Gone. Sarah's letters? Gone. I didn't need a digital museum of my trauma. I wasn't erasing the truth. I was retiring it. My past was no longer my burden. It was their shadow. And they could live in it as long as they wanted. But me? I was building in the sun now. I saw Melissa once, by accident. A bookstore downtown. Dana and I were browsing shelves when I caught a flash of familiar hair by the coffee counter. I froze, heart kicking like it used to back when I couldn't walk into public without scanning exits. Dana noticed, touched my hand. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah. That's her. Melissa." She turned to look. "Do you want to leave?" I thought about it. Really thought. And then I shook my head. "No. I'm good." Because I was. Melissa hadn't seen me. She was laughing with someone, maybe a classmate, maybe a boyfriend, looking like any other college student with a latte and a second chance. And I felt nothing. No anger. No fear. No urge to confront or flee. Just peace. Not because I'd forgiven her. Not because she deserved it. But because I deserved it. I survived what she did. What they all did. And I rebuilt without any of them. They say forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. But for me, it wasn't forgiveness that freed me, it was letting go of the rope. The one they kept tugging on, trying to pull me back into a family I no longer recognized. Melissa may go on to live a decent life. I hope she does. But I won't be part of that story. My story is here. With Dana. With laughter over burned pancakes. With game nights. With stability. With a front door that locks and a life that no longer needs guarding. They can keep their apologies, their Christmas cards, their memory albums. I kept my dignity. My sanity. My truth. And that was more than enough.